but this is the first one I can remember we have in January, because we really have had no snow in the metro region throughout this entire winter. Of course, I'm Erie County Executive Mark Polenkars, and I'm joined by Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, William Gary, as well as the Commissioner of the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Dan Neverth. And we also are joined by 3 of the deputies from the Erie County Sheriff's Office. We did invite new Sheriff John Garcia to join with us, as well as Under Sheriff William Cooley, but they could not join us this afternoon due to the fact that I believe they're doing another press conference right now with the district attorney on a different matter. But I do want to thank the deputies for being here, because when it comes to reacting to winter storms, it is a team effort in Erie County. It has always been a team effort in Erie County. It is all the departments and divisions working together with our partners in local government to get our community through what are often very difficult times with a winter storm. We know how to handle winter storms here in Erie County, and that's why I'm proud to say that even though we're expecting a decent snowfall for tomorrow, we expect that we should be able to handle that in the Buffalo metro region. And I'm going to give you a few statistics before I turn it over to our Commissioner of Public Works, William Gary, to talk a little bit why we are prepared for the snow. But while we are expecting up to 18 inches of snow to fall in the next 24 hours, starting around 9 to 10 o'clock tonight, that in itself is not as much of a problem as sometimes we have. But one of the things we're very concerned about is the wind, because the National Weather Service is predicting wind gusts of 40 miles per hour, which is, I think most of you know, blizzard conditions are anything over 35 miles per hour for a sustained time period. So if we had 40 mile per hour wind gusts for a sustained time period with heavy snow, we would see in various parts of our community blizzard conditions. But we're prepared. The Erie County Department of Public Works has 45 trucks at the ready, 5 of which are brand new. The last few years we've been buying 5 of these big trucks on an annual basis from our capital budget. It's very expensive, not cheap, costs us a couple $1 million to do, but we want to make certain we're prepared with a new fleet to handle what Mother Nature throws at us. So we'll have 45 trucks at all of our barns available throughout the evening, as well as in the daytime hours tomorrow, 5 of which I note are new. We will have 8 high lifts ready if needed. Generally, we don't have to worry about high lifts unless we get a significant amount of snow that we can't plow, but we have 8 high lifts at the ready if needed. And we also have 3 giant snow blowers as part of our annual fleet that are at the ready. So if we got 4 feet of snow in a short period of time, and the only way you can get in there was with the giant snow blowers, we could do that because we have 3 of them at the ready too. Crews will be out all night. We are on 24-hour shifts now, where we have overnight crews as well as day crews. So crews will be out all night. First off, preparing the roads by salting them, and then of course plowing the roads with our snowblower fleet. And then we will be out all throughout the day hours too. We will be monitoring the snow conditions as well as the conditions on the roads. We will not be opening the Emergency Operations Center, so I'll just announce that now because I know I'll eventually get the question. So the Emergency Operations Center, based on the projected snow, will not be opened. If conditions turned much worse, such that we were in a state of emergency where we had to close roads and things like that, then we would think about opening up the Emergency Operations Center. But for now, we are not opening it, though we will have crews available monitoring it in the overnight hours as well as during the daylight hours. We've gone through this before. We know how to handle winter storms. I was talking with my staff earlier, said it's actually really nice to do a press conference about snow and storms after everything we've been for the last couple of years. We're a strong, well-tuned machine, working with all our partners, including the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff's Office is ready to act if necessary, including with their snowmobile fleet, their Arctic Cat fleet. Hopefully we won't have bad conditions that we have to get to that position. But I want to thank the deputies for being here. Often when you hear of people stranded on Route 219 or the Thruway, it's the Sheriff's Office deputies that are out there rescuing them with the equipment that they have. So thank you for your good work through the years, and I appreciate you being here today. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Commissioner of Public Works, William Gary, who's got a very important announcement also in regards to the name of the storm, because if you remember, our Department of Public Works names storms based on our local microbrews. And we got one that is definitely appropriate for the time of year. So, Commissioner.
Thanks, Mr. County Executive. Good afternoon. The crews, men and women of the Department of Public Works for the last 24 hours have been fine-tuning all these vehicles that you see behind us, getting everything ready. Although it's been a mild season for us, it's probably only our third snow fighting event since December 1st when we went on shifts. We've used that time to get a lot of our new employees up to speed, so we do have a lot of new drivers, a lot of new pieces of equipment like the county executive spoke to. We're fully ready, we're staffed, we have no issues with staffing. We aren't immune to some of the COVID issues that are happening, but we have about 90 full-time drivers, and we have 40 routes in a 24-hour period, able to Rolex everybody on some overtime if need be. But the crew's actually talking to a few today. They're pretty excited about this, getting back into fighting some snow again and getting back to winter operations. As the county executive said, the Charlie Sickler beer scale, this isn't quite a growler event, although the winds tonight and tomorrow morning might be challenging. We're looking at like the 16-ouncer, and it's Pils Mafia by Thin Man. So with the Bills game on Sunday and a big victory and winning the AFC East division, we thought Pils Mafia would be a very fitting beer to go with for this one. Again, for everybody out there, just preparation's key. You know, if you have an opportunity to be able to work remote tomorrow, it's probably a great day. Hopefully some schools will take advantage of that as well. That's our biggest challenge usually in the morning and evening commutes when we know the upcoming weather is definitely going to be challenging with marginal visibility at best. You know, less vehicles on the road, the plow drivers could get in, get around, get everything opened up, and get everything back to business as normal. But if you are out and driving around, please stay back from the plows. Don't crowd the plow. We always say follow Erie County Department of Public Works on Twitter. We'll be giving live updates, giving real-time condition updates with our friends at NITEC, and then also working with the municipalities that help us plow the 1,200 centerline miles of road that Erie County has. So again, just be safe, take some preparation, fill up that car with gas today, put a blanket in it, just in case we get in a situation that happened just recently in Virginia with people being stranded on the highway. It's always good to have that emergency kit there. If you need tips on putting together a kit, AAA has some great resources on their website also. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Another organization that has great resources on how to handle the winter weather is our Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. This is the organization that coordinates with all of our law enforcement and fire during emergency situations across the community. And we are joined by our Commissioner, Dan Neverth Jr., who's guaranteed us we're not going to have too bad a storm. Because generally, when Dan's on vacation, we get hit with the worst storms possible. He's here today, so we're expecting a moderate snowfall. Thank you for being here, Commissioner.
Thank you, County Executive. Excuse me. Communication, cooperation, collaboration, they're not words you usually associate when it comes to governments. But I think what's important to point out today, because we stand here as maybe there's a foot and a half of snow coming, and we talk about the fact that you know, what are we doing to be prepared. I think it's important to point out the fact that we work year-round to enhance those relationships. So whether it happens to be working with the Sheriff's Office, the State Police, New York State Thruway, Department of Transportation, our own departments, we're working constantly to fine-tune that road closure plan and who's going to do what in the event that we have some major storms. So whether it's the sheriffs and their responsibility with the Route 400 during a storm, State Police, the 219 during the storm, or the State Police and maybe some of the other major arteries, or even our community partners, towns, villages, and cities. We do have this discussion that goes on all of the time. So whereas we like to say we're always prepared for everything that's thrown at us, we're also just as equally prepared for the things that maybe are a little bit out of the norm, as we have seen when it comes to COVID and the response. And I think it's also worth pointing out the fact that in addition to the preparation that's going on for this, there are other multiple operations that have been going on for a couple of years related to COVID. So the testing with the health department, the cooperation of all of our other departments within the county. So it's a delicate balance, but we are up to the task. We're ready to go. But the one variable always when it comes to storm is that rare commodity, what's known as common sense. We know the storm's going to come in tonight around 7 o'clock. We know it's going to go throughout the night and then probably clear up tomorrow sometime late morning. 7 o'clock at night, if you don't have to be somewhere, don't. If you're a person who likes the intrigue of going out just to see how bad it is, don't. So let's use common sense, combine that with all of our communication, collaboration, and cooperation, and all of our partners that are here, and we'll get through this just like we always have. So with that, I have constantly lobbied to maybe have some of the storms named after some of our local citers that are out there as well. So maybe at some point we can get to that, but you have to pick your battles. So be safe, everybody, especially all of you reporters that are going to be out there tonight covering this. But please be safe, and we're here for whatever you need.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think we could probably get a citer or two in. All depends on Mother Nature and how much snow she's going to give us on an annual basis. We haven't really had a whole lot of big storms lately. And there's probably a lot of folks who haven't thought so much about winter driving and their old winter driving skills. So once again, please take your time if you have to go somewhere during the height of the storm. If you don't have to go somewhere, don't. Stay home. Stay home where it's safe. I was in touch earlier today with Ken Kujawa, the regional president of National Grid. They are keeping some additional teams at the ready because there is a fear with the stronger winds that there could be some electrical outages. So we're in contact with National Grid as well as NICET. Losing my mind here. NICEG. I said NICET. NICET's a different organization. NICEG. So we'll be in touch with them as well with regards to if there's any power outages in the community. As I remind people, when there's a power outage in bad conditions, you may have to wait a little bit of time because you cannot put at risk the individuals who are trying to restore the power if the conditions are so bad where they can't drive to get where the power outage is, or the winds are so difficult they're afraid of further injury. So I just want to remind everybody, you should be prepared, as always, when we have our winter weather, when we enter the storm season for potential loss of power. You should have your car filled with appropriate goods, including jumper cables, a blanket, hats, gloves, because if you get stuck and you're stuck on a road for a bunch of hours, you don't want to be wearing a lightweight coat with no gloves, and you don't want to have to worry about potentially the issues associated with that. So we expect this to be a moderate storm for our region, something we can easily handle, but the best way we can handle it is by people just acting appropriately, using common sense, not clogging up roads, getting into accidents that then prevent our plows from going down the roads and cleaning them. So I wish everyone to be safe and well. I thank our partners for being here, the commissioners as well as the deputies from the Erie County Sheriff's Office, and we'll be glad to answer any questions on the topic. Let's start with Michael.
Mark, while this is all happening, the county is still trying to continue the work operations testing vaccinations. Talk about how the storm affected some of the clinics and how some of it's got things that might be affected. What's the lesson?
The question, for those who couldn't hear it, was while we're dealing with the storm, we're still, of course, responding to COVID with vaccination clinics and testing sites. As of now, those are still open. We understand that it might be difficult for some individuals tomorrow to get a vaccine or an appointment as of the time that they were scheduled. What we're asking people is to use common sense. If the weather is very bad in your area, we will reschedule your vaccine or your test. But as of right now, the sites are still open, though we don't want people driving in perilous conditions. So if it gets to a point where we have to shut them down, we would announce that tomorrow before they are scheduled to open. Ron.
Yeah, Commissioner Erie, you can step up for a second. Just thinking of something different to ask you. All the routes in the county, what seems to be the most difficult for you guys? And knowing again, we might have 40-mile-per-hour winds. Is there any routes, any towns that seem to be the most troublesome for you?
Yeah. The couple come to mind, and my hat's off to the staff down in our Concord district. If you ever driven Zor Valley Road through the valley, up and down the hills, the winding, it gets narrow. That's one of the areas too that predominantly gets a lot of the lake effect snow because of the elevations. So definitely I could just say that whole region in the Concord district, the southern half of the Aurora and Hamburg district with the hills, those elevations again, the snowfall, it could be like, it could be clear in a million down here, and you get to the top of Brown Hill or Cole Road and get down in Zor, and you can't see your hand in front of your face. So that's definitely by far the most challenging is Zor Valley Road.
With the towns, every once in a while, there's a thing that comes up, whose responsibility has responsibility for this particular road. You worked all that out in advance?
Yes, sir. And that's a great question, because on our website too, on erie.gov, if you go to the highway page, we have a button with the road list of all the county inventory of roads and who's specifically responsible for plowing them. But in events like this, as County Executive and Commissioner Neverett said, this is a team effort, not just internally but externally with all our state partners, our municipal partners, the villages, the cities. We're all working together. We're backing each other up. We know town of West Seneca had a fire on Christmas Eve morning. Spoke with Superintendent Adams over there multiple times today, and then within the last week, tremendous outpouring of support from all the towns, the county. We're all going to work together, make sure that the roads primarily are cleaned and safe and traversable.
I couldn't hear you. The question was, will we be closing the Skyway? That is a determination that is made by the New York State Department of Transportation in conjunction with local law enforcement. Erie County nor the city of Buffalo closes the Skyway, though we can make recommendations, but because that is a New York State Department of Transportation road, they make the final call. The question was the importance of following alternate parking regulations that exist. It is very important, especially in the urban, suburban area. Most towns had waived their alternate parking restrictions that normally start in November through November, December, because they really had no snow. Those went back into effect, and it's very important that individuals follow those regulations, because if you have parking on both sides of the streets and you try to get one of these plows down it, it's very difficult to do it and safely plow the road, because then you just plow the snow, it blocks in some of the vehicles that otherwise shouldn't be blocked in. And that also leads to another thing. You see on the back of all these plows in the bright optic yellow, stay back 200 feet. We say don't crowd the plow for a reason. Often people will get really close to the plow, but that plow may have to stop very quickly, and you don't want to have to drive into the back of that. The plow is going to be in a lot better shape than your vehicle. Please don't crowd the plows, especially in any situation. We ask that. If the conditions are poor, you want to be as far back from the vehicle ahead of you, whether it's one of these large plows that weighs a couple tons or more, or just a regular vehicle, because you don't know if that plow or anybody else is going to have to stop very quickly, whether they hit black ice. Our plows are pretty good with handling icy and black ice, but there have been situations where even our plows have difficulty getting down roads because of how slick they are. So please, don't crowd the plow. Follow the regulations for your community with regards to alternate street parking, or in some situations, no parking on a street in the overnight hours, because the only way they can clear those streets is if people follow those rules. If they don't, then it gets difficult and it ends up slowing down the entire process. And truthfully, in some situations, especially in the city of Buffalo, if there's cars parked on both sides of the streets, large plows can't get through. The question was, this storm appears it's going to affect the city more than the south towns or the snow country, ski country that loves it. That appears to be true, but this is not a storm that is out of the ordinary for the city of Buffalo. Should be able to handle it. The county of Erie does not plow a single road in the city of Buffalo. The city of Buffalo and New York State are responsible for roads in the city of Buffalo. Though if they need assistance, we are always at the ready to help them. With this generally affecting the main metro region, we just ask for people to exercise common sense. We know how to respond, but it's up to people to exercise common sense so we can respond. One of the biggest problems we had in the November knife storm of 14 was individuals who were on the road who got stuck and we could not plow the roads because people gotten stuck or gotten accidents. Because they had to go somewhere, even though we were saying, don't go, don't drive. If we had a greater opportunity to plow those roads because cars weren't on it, we would have been able to keep many of those roads open a lot sooner. But because people were on the roads in bad conditions, we couldn't get our plows down because of accidents and cars getting stuck. I'll turn it over to the Emergency Service Commissioner to talk a little bit more about it, but it really comes down to using common sense.
Yeah, I think I touched on it earlier with regards to, we have a pretty tight window with regards to when this is going to start. We're looking at 7 o'clock. If you think back to when we had the high winds just a couple of weeks ago, it was almost to the minute that those high winds started to roll in. So this is going to happen overnight. Keep in mind that the folks that are here right now are the folks that are going to be keeping this road clear, trying to move things forward so that we can get things back to normal as quickly as possible. So combination of common sense with all of the equipment and all the communication that we have going on here is why in Western New York we do things so much better. So I would just say keep those things in mind. We'll keep doing what we do, and everybody, all of your viewers and all of your listeners have a role to play in this as we work through the next 24 hours. So let's just keep the common sense going, and we'll all work together.
Any more questions? If not, thank you all for being here. Be safe and well. Of course, we'll update things throughout the evening and overnight hours if necessary. And in regards to tomorrow's vaccine and testing clinics, they are still on. If by chance they have to be closed because of conditions, we will close them in the morning and let all the media know. I do not anticipate there being any in-person updates tonight. If it's really bad in the overnight hours, then we would schedule it in the morning. Thanks, everyone. Be safe and well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be safe out there.